the best advice that I could give to Americans who are just kind of struggling to navigate this landscape is to always approach your fellow human beings with love and respect, and know that having dialogue that is truly vulnerable, that's honest and authentic and respectful, can only nurture relationships.
You gotta think ahead and try to be as sensitive as you can. Don't start with what you don't believe. Start with what you still share. What are you committed to? I think it's really important that you let the person know that you respect what they believe and that this isn't a repudiation of them, even though it may feel that way. What's necessary is for somebody to almost have a biblical understanding of the wideness of God's mercy so that they can engage in the conversation. When I'm dealing with Christians, which is the tradition that I grew up in, I bring them a bunch of Bible verses and I try to teach them in their own language that there are ways of being Christian that have a greater amount of optimism for non-believers.
I am, of course, very fond of the Jewish tradition of questioning, of answering questions with more questions.
So much of Islam is focused on appreciating diversity, that diversity is sacred. I am not interested principally in the things I don't like about you. I'm interested in the things that I find beautiful.
The most important thing is active listening. The idea is to cultivate empathy, to be able to understand where your partner is coming from. Active listening involves language like, I hear you saying that in your childhood, your family celebrated in this way, but now you prefer to do it in this other way.
If you ask the person questions for clarity, it makes them feel heard. Use I statements. Say like, when I heard this in church, I felt. And so it takes a lot of the argument out of it when you use I statements, and people get less defensive.
Often people worry a lot about what the challenges will be for interfaith families, and they don't think about what the benefits will be. And really, I feel like we're called on to be interfaith ambassadors, to be interfaith bridge builders, and ultimately to be interfaith peacemakers.
I think that the First Amendment creates a foundation for these harder conversations, finding disagreement, finding conflict on something that really matters to you, and then being able to learn from one another. That is something that I think we all could use more of.